Ricky Alexander is the founder of a digital marketing company called Hotspot Effect. And we've got him on the line here just now. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm blessed. As long as I wake up and breathe, I'm good. It's a pleasure to
Yeah,
be here.
that's a great attitude to have. So, what was it that inspired you to create a digital marketing company, if inspired is the right word?
I mean, inspired is a great way to place that. I mean, I've been in sales a lot of my life. I did a lot of cold calling door to door. I mean, I was also a personal trainer at some points. And I always felt like in every lane of sales, I was working towards somebody else's dream while still
Yeah.
slightly pursuing mine, but never really putting it to the full advantage of like I wanted to. And then I just decided to go all in. I was always on social media. I always had an idea about it. So I was like, you know what, let me just figure it out and make it happen. So that's exactly what I did.
Yeah, and I suppose when you were doing that cold calling and door to door working for someone else's dream, you've got to deal with all the people that are being rude to you and telling you where to go. Whereas when you're running your own business, you maybe still have to deal with that a bit, but at least you're getting something out of it.
Yeah, honestly, that's a really great way to put it too, because when I was dealing with the door to door, you really deal with a lot of personalities. Because you don't want anybody knocking on your door to try to sell you something. So you really have to break that barrier of that person within that first 10 seconds. And that can also take a toll on you emotionally too, depending on how that person reacts to you, but it teaches you a lot. So with having to deal with that less, but still having the ability to deal with it, I felt it did help make me a lot stronger. So I'm happy for those experiences.
So, how does Hotspot Effect approach digital marketing differently from other companies out there in the industry?
Well, what we do is we have a lot of lanes of how we go about it. One, for example, is we utilize artificial intelligence a lot. Like we can put a face to a business without there necessarily having to be a face to a business. Because when a lot of people are running their business, they don't have the time to be that forefront, especially on social media. And on social media, people really love that interpersonal feel of having a kind of face there. So we're able to put that, whether it's different ethnicities, whether it's different languages, we can do that. Also, too, when it comes down to writing content, that takes so much time, whether it's from the agency or whether it's from the organization or the business that wants to put that content out. We have ways to streamline that with the use of AI. I mean, me also myself, I was blessed to pursue more of my education. Like I have two Harvard certificates. One is persuasive writing, the art of public speaking. The other is in money markets and morals. So with the use of AI and the use of education, I'm able to really filter a lot of the things that take us so much time, put it into a way that is able to streamline it, and it makes it easier for businesses to get out there. And then plus we really let people get to know your personality. That's what people come to your business for. Everybody sells a product, but not everybody sells it the way that you do. So we share your personality.
Yeah. It's interesting about AI because in some parts, like maybe joke writing, it's not very good.
Mm-hmm.
But in marketing, I can see how it would have great potential.
Yeah, it comes into ways too, because a lot of people feel like, hey, it may take away from the jobs that people have. But when it comes into lanes like marketing, it really supersedes the time that it takes. Because when it comes down to building a business, time is the biggest asset, but it can also be the thing that can be the biggest barrier. So if you can streamline the time that it takes you to get a project done, but still have the sense to understand, hey, I still have to edit some of this content that's being put out. Just because an AI is making it doesn't mean that it's perfect. This is a
Yeah.
machine that's learning every single day, just like we are, but it has the ability to learn more than we do on a daily basis. So it still needs that interpersonal reality to put that personality out, just like I said. So there's a lot of work that still needs to be put into play, but it helps a lot.
So, how do you measure the success of each of the digital marketing campaigns that you've done?
Oh, great question. That comes in a lot into the analytics. So even though you know how to put businesses out there, you need to understand the metrics of what's working for a business, because rhetoric is going to play a big part, and this comes down to the emotion. Whether you're pulling up people's heartstrings, whether you want them to think more logically, or whether you just want to understand the way that people are feeling. When you're putting content out there, you really need to play around with those words. So there may be content that you put out for some businesses that long form content is amazing for them, and they may be great on LinkedIn. And other businesses, they won't work for that at all. So you really have to understand, once again, the personality of the business, but also the personality of the social media platform that you're on. Every single one is different. So you need to understand metrics. You need to understand why you're putting that information out there. And then you just need to stay on top of it, because some things may work for a quarter of the year, and then the next 9 months of the year, that shit doesn't work at all, you know? So it's all about staying on top of what matters. So analytics is the biggest thing.
Yeah, people's behaviors are always changing, aren't they? And you've got to keep up with all the new technology, I suppose, because one minute people could be on one social media platform and you're doing all your marketing there, and then all of a sudden that's not popular anymore and they're on another one.
That's a perfect way to put it. You hit the nail on the head with that one.
So how do you keep up with all that? Because maybe sometimes it can be moving so fast that it is hard to keep up with.
Oh, yeah, it really is, because you raised so many good points before, where something is always changing. There's always a new trend coming out. And there's so many different creatives and people that are creating businesses that may be better than the one that's already put out. So new things are being done. So one thing that helps a lot is extracting a lot of data, because once again, to go back into the time thing, it takes a lot of time to understand a lot of these platforms, or even, let's say, some of the companies that put out massive amounts of information. Like, for example, I work a lot with Twitter and putting out a lot of news. So for me to stay on top of the news all of the time would be extremely time consuming. But one thing I'm able to do is I'm able to pull, let's say, for example, from CNN, I can go to their Twitter and extract every tweet from the moment I do it up until, let's say, the last 3 months. So now I have the news for the last 3 months that I can filter. I can check. It's from reputable sources. And we can do this, whether it's companies on LinkedIn, whether it's extracting data from websites. So the biggest part that helps is pulling all this information quickly, and then it gives me the time to understand it, versus understanding it and then having to pull it. So I just reverse the process.
And because you're so good at digital marketing, do you get business through marketing as well?
Yeah, it's an interesting way that I do, because from networking is a great way of marketing. So let's say, for example, recently I had some articles that were written about me, which I appreciate the people that took the time to write these. But with them, because they got an opening to what it is my company does, we found a way to, one, either partner with business, or I'm actually hiring some of these people because I loved some of the work that they did. So it does benefit me to market with other people 100%.
Now, what is coming up in the future for the company? And are there growth plans and all that?
Well, now we're really getting into pushing logistics for people, because now, since we understand how to market digitally, we're working with a lot of brick and mortar businesses too, whether it's working with law firms, but now we're starting to work with people that have to ship products, whether it's getting products overseas. I'm working with somebody that works with Xerox, works with printers, because every business needs them. Now he's starting to work with overseas and hitting people, let's say, targeting Puerto Rico. So now we're having a better understanding of, let's say, moving money. Because let's say you're working with somebody overseas, you may not feel comfortable with them immediately. So we're working to streamline processes where money will be sent, but it will be visible to both sides. And that income won't hit, let's say, the merchant's account up until that product has already been shipped and has landed to the person that has bought it. So we're creating streamlined sources that make people feel a lot more comfortable when shipping products logistically. So we're really getting into different frames of businesses, which has been interesting and cool. So that's some of the things to look forward to. And if anybody needs help with those, we're getting into that realm.
And that's a pretty cool idea. How do you verify whether it has or hasn't arrived? Because most people who buy things are honest people, but sometimes you get a few people that will lie and say it hasn't arrived just so they can get it for free.
Yeah, especially when it comes down to overseas things. So that's where some of those processes are going to be hard to figure out initially. But this is where kind of working with those trusted sources and working with these people, because even me, I don't mind taking trips out to people, let's say it is overseas, to meet with them initially before we even start shipping these products, getting on Zoom calls to meet with these people. The biggest thing is just the comfortability with making sure that with the finances that are being put out, that everyone just has a better understanding of where the money is located. Nobody wants the money kind of up in the air or just sitting there. So we just want to, that's the biggest thing, is transparency is what we're trying to create around this. Now, figuring out those points that you just brought up, we'll have to work with these things over time, but we won't really know that until we get there. So we will have some of those experiences, and when we do, then we'll figure out how to deal with it until then maybe we won't. But there's a possibility to everything. So it's just all about forecasting it and being ready when it happens.
Well, where are we able to find Hotspot Effect and all the things that we need to find?
So you'll be able to reach our website, which is at hotspoteffect.com. From there, you'll be able to have access to all of our links. Whether it's our social media accounts, you can also set up appointments. If you do in time become a client, there's also a client portal that you can access all your information. You can upload documents, you can call us. Everything is scheduled through there. If you want to see more of our articles, also the news is there. And then also some of the information about how we work with charities, because the first year of our business, we did strictly charity work with a organization called catchafire.com. So for anybody that doesn't know them, just give a chance to check them out. They do a lot of really good work. So we did about 25 different charity programs with them. So you can get a sense of that too as well by visiting our site.
Excellent. Well, many thanks for talking to us today. It's been great to have you on.
It has been a pleasure, Toby. I appreciate you.